So yeah, I would not recommend using the Howitzer 140. Not that great of a unit. Next is the Sexton. It has a 1200 meter range, the exact same as the Howitzer. It's $5 more. Yes, it's $5 more, and it has that armor, and it only does 17 damage. So actually, but it's $25 to research. But really, you're actually protecting yourself from danger against other artillery. So if the opponent is only using like artillery infantry, the Sexton would actually be worth it due to the fact that it won't get damage as easily, or it won't die as fast, that's for sure, against artillery. And it's got the same range and the same damage as the Howitzer 87mm. So you're getting the exact same weapon for only $25 and a better package, just to the fact that Sextons won't be able to take that artillery damage for a while and be okay. It has no gun on it, so it can't really stop any infantry attacks. I don't believe it has a gun. I don't have the damage listed, so I don't think it has a gun on it to shoot at infantry. But pretty much it'll be able to shoot at infantry up close as soon as it gets close enough to stop infantry, so it shouldn't be a big problem unless you're facing mass amounts of infantry. Then you could be in trouble there. So Sexton's a good variant if your opponent is going artillery and infantry. Then the Sexton's actually a good variant compared to the 87mm Howitzer, and it's only $25 extra research and $5 extra to make. So it's worth its value for $30 initial cost. It's worth the value for what you're getting in armor difference. Next is the AC MK1, $30 for armor recon. I actually use this unit very often. It has a 250 meter range for its machine gun or cannon, whatever you want to call that. I don't know how far the recon range is. I'm assuming it's just the basic recon range. I'm assuming every recon unit's got the exact same range. They haven't stated any differently in the game notes or in these guides, so I'm assuming they're all the same recon range. So yeah, it does do fairly a good amount of damage against infantry. It's a pretty good gun, unless you're facing a bunch of infantry. Like I said, on a mass amount, it won't be good. But for $30, it's fairly expensive. Like I said, I would not make these and put them around your base. I would make those outposts and put them around your base to make effective recon for your inside. When you're pushing, yes, you're going to want to make the AC MK1. You're going to want to push out with that and keep it as far away from danger as possible, since you only have one armor and it'll pretty much get one shot. Yeah, pretty much get one shot every time. So like I said, AC MK1, only use it when you're pushing, don't use it for your base, and that's pretty much it. The next unit is the Coventry MK2. It is an upgrade. You need to spend money to upgrade it. It's $25. It only has 50 more range for the anti-tank gun, and only has one extra armor. To me, it's a big waste of money to upgrade $25 for a unit that just has one extra armor, 50 extra range, and it does, I think, an extra 100 damage to trucks. Usually you aren't going to be attacking trucks with this unit. You're not going to be attacking with this unit. You don't make recon to attack with it, most likely, unless you're pushing its infantry only. Then you might have a recon truck early game just to stop a couple infantry in the woods or something. But mainly you don't use recon. You don't use recon at all to attack. So pretty much for the $25 for what you're getting in return, not worth it. I wouldn't spend the money at all. Next is the Cruiser A13. Good unit. It's okay. It's got one armor. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the British armor. It's not very good. It does. Let me just flip my paper over here. It does 30 damage against infantry, trucks, and buildings. Fairly good amount of damage. So a few shots, you'll actually take the building down if you have a bunch of these. It's got only 250 meter range though, not very far, and with one armor you can get taken out very easily, especially against an advanced tank. or any anti-tank weapon. It does 20 damage to level 1 or armor 1 units, 12 to level number 2, 8 to armor 3, 5 and 4 to armor 4 and 5. It does 21 damage to infantry, so like I said, as you can see the heavy infantry, it does a lot of damage to infantry, but it does very little to tanks. I would recommend this unit for pulling early game unorthodox play styles. And what I mean by this is that when you're playing as British in a 1v1 and you're playing against a good player, when you go into the 1v1, you don't know the way they made this game, you don't know what your opponent's going to do or have before the game starts. So say if you're going to be the British and you're going to 1v1 and say they spawn as USSR or they spawn as France, who don't have very good AT in my opinion. In my opinion, they don't have very good anti-tank weapons. So say you lay down a fake airfield with your first ruse, you send your trucks out there to get your income. Then if it's a sort of short rush distance, you send that camouflage net on the left or right side of your base, and you send a truck to make an armor base as far as you can out of that sector to reach the edge of that sector where the camo net is. You build your bankroll up a bit. Your opponent maybe thinks you're going, or assume you're going air because you can see the airfield. Maybe assumes you're trying to research something or save up money for something, some crazy attack. So it starts spamming AA, especially USSR player. If they know what they're doing, they'll pump the AA base and artillery out, because due to the fact that they can see your base and their artillery is so good, they might start spamming AA to defend themselves and then push that artillery to try and take your base out. Well, when you do that, when you get your next ruse card, you have that money saved up. You start pumping out these $20 cruisers on this left or right side. You keep pumping these out as they're just building AA and building artillery. You pump these out, you get about 5 or 6 of these. They go 45 kilometers an hour, I believe. A very, very fast tank. You pump about 5 or 6 of these out, maybe more if you want, if they don't have any AT at all. You pump a bunch of these out. They think you're going air. You have 5 minutes for that radio silence. You should use that radio silence before you make the units. So your third ruse card is going to be radio silence. You wait for a bit. Maybe you get that blitz, or you get that fake air assault. Then you pump that fake air assault out. You pushed that way. You maybe float your units around for a bit. As you push to that left side with those 6 or 7 cruisers, your opponent doesn't expect it because he thinks you're only going air. Especially when you use the fake stuff, it'll just probably pump out fighter bombers. Thinks you're going air. Maybe doesn't think you know what you're doing, so thinks, oh, here comes a free bunch of points. Push to that left or right side with those cruisers. You take out their entire base and you get that quick GG. Usually stuff like that only works if the opponent doesn't think you're going to be going anything unorthodox. If you play other RTSs, if you play stuff like StarCraft, especially in the high level stuff, there's always standard builds. Guys know what all the standard builds are. For ruse, there's not a ton of builds you can really go. The way they made this game is each country sort of limited to their best asset. So the British is air, the USSR is artillery, the French is defenses, the Germans are tanks, the USA is sort of a mixture of OK units sort of thing. They don't really have a weak point, the USA, and that's pretty much it. So each country has their own specialty. So if you think they're going air, and especially if you have that anti-air artillery bases, the USSR player, you're going to pump that stuff out like crazy. Or if you're any other kind of country, you're going to pump it out quick. So maybe they don't see it coming, you just rush in there, take that base for the quick GG. Just stuff like that. You got to play unorthodox, especially in a 1v1 sometimes, to catch your opponent off guard, especially in high level stuff, because in high level